friends, Rocky Outcrop here. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin charts together. So you can see at the minute I've got up behind me the 24-hour chart. This is the Coinbase one, right? Wait, hold on a second. Yeah, Coinbase 24-hour chart. Just get rid of that little menu for now. And you can see a couple of interesting things about the price action so far, okay, at the minute already. So just briefly, the RSI has managed to come up higher than this, previous peak over here. So we've currently managed to do this high without that bearish divergence on the 24-hour time frame. Whereas the stochastics is a little bit lower, and the DMI here has gone a bit higher than it was before. So this is not divergent. This is divergent, and this isn't divergent. Is that right? Yeah, well, I guess so compared to over here. So that's interesting. If we look between the previous two highs, though, of course, we can see that that's not divergent. Just going down the way, though, for some contrast, if we go to the hourly time, you can see that between these highs here on the price action and then the subsequent highs where we came in at on the the 28th, 27th late at night of July 28th yesterday, all that there was a slightly divergent, bearishly divergent high, and subsequently what we've done is we've come down towards that 10,600 level, back up towards the 11,150 or so level, 11,200 you could say, depending on, well, what was that was when I filmed yesterday around about then. So no, it's more or less exactly what we said it would be like. So we're in this area, and we've got a couple of questions that we can ask. If we go up towards the 4-hour time frame, then just to check in and see if we've got any signs of, did I just move something there? I think I did. If we've got any signs of divergence or anything like that here on this guy, then we can see that this peak here on the 4-hour time frame on the RSI was divergent compared to the one beforehand. Likewise on the oscillators down below. So we've had that little bit coming in just there. We have this area on the right hand side. Again, we do this all the time on the channel, but it's always wise just to kind of look for these type of ideas and think, could that possibly end up being like a right hand side shoulder? As we see the volume dropping off there, quite obviously, if this volume were to pick back up again, into these sorts of areas, when the price action were to drop down this direction, if the prices were to actually close below that 10,700 more or less area, or 10,800, whatever it was we said yesterday, I suppose still applies, then you'd be looking at the potential for this head and shoulders to play out towards the downside, which would be, not a million miles away, really, in terms of the price movement. But if that took us down towards that 10,000, say that took us down towards 10,300, and we're looking at having kind of barted back down the way from this point here, then we're already at a little inflection area, and we might be asking several other questions at that point about where we could see the prices going thereafter. We'd be well back inside the parallel channel that we kind of broke out of there before. So you see these highs, that's where we drew it in at previously, came back out, retesting it. So the question would really kind of boils down to, if you want to consider the 2-for-1 aspect of this, you've got the neckline there of what that could be, and also that support resistance zone there as well, so that we'd be breaking down past, changing up things fairly significantly for us. And for a third factor of confluence there, you'd have the 236 Fibonacci retracement coming right in at that area. If we look up towards the top end and see where I drew it into, you can see that it came like this is looking at the retrace from up there at that 11,400 level. If we broke down below that, you'd be going down below the 236, and bearing in mind then that the 382 is sort of the next target thereafter, ends up being a full $1,000 down from where the top of that Fibonacci retracement came in at, looking down the way thereafter for other things. So at the minute, we've got a red moving average here on the RSI. It's maybe not so easy to see. Maybe I need to change the colors for just, in terms of streaming and recording this for YouTube. Let me know, I suppose, in the comments down below. I set it up that way because I think it's not too distracting to me to look at on the chart there, but maybe it needs to be just maybe a bit stronger. Maybe it needs to be a bit brighter. I don't really know. I just probably I'll just leave it like that for now. Anyway, you can see we've got this red downward, it's just that the moving average is moving towards the downside, that we're below it at the minute, and we've got this bearishly divergent high with the potential for 4-hour head and shoulders there to then take us down, perhaps, towards the edge of the bearish control zone thereafter and on down the way. And if we look here at the RSI, we can see that stacks up as kind of offset from the price action. But, you know, you could be looking at this and saying, is this a shoulder, this a head, and this is shoulder here? It's obviously offset from the price action going back the way because it's bearishly divergent. So there you'd have that nice little sort of follow through, that technical analysis jive, you know, the dance that we'd like to do here would all kind of work out fairly nicely if that were to be the case. Now, of course, there's plenty of other things that we can look to as well. Remember, you know, a pattern failure is as good as a confirmation. So really, you know, distinctly closing and opening and closing up above the 10,100 and whatever it was we spoke about yesterday. Let's call it 10,200, in fact, and just talk about the head of this head and shoulders here instead, since they're so close anyway. If we were to close there on the 4 hours, then you'd be looking at that as a very different story. And of course, we did talk about bullish targets in yesterday's video as well. I suppose we could maybe take a look in at some of those sorts of things just real quick, I suppose, here, just to make this. I want to have this video be as much value in it as possible. As you can see, we're kind of flying through things here. I think we're doing a pretty good job overall at the minute. You know, let me know in the comments down below. By the way, if I didn't introduce myself, I'm Rocky Outcrop. I do daily technical analysis for cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Chainlink, Ethereum, and Tezos, and occasional bonus coins. And I've got a little bit of news as well to announce here in a second. But if we were to look towards higher targets, I suppose, you know, of course, we have the CME charts, and we'll be taking a look at that in just a second. And the and these previous targets over here on the left, you know, at 11,500, you know, becomes the target towards the top side. Should we see sort of this push on again higher? Because we know, looking over to the left, it can go a bit higher. For instance, the RSI and the stochastics and whatnot. We know we've been up in these higher areas before. So do we have another final sort of leg up before we really consider things / move on in a macro big way towards the top side? I have to be unbiased about things overall, you know, because that's the MO on the channel. But we'd have to definitely take a look at things again, you know, as we're advancing up the way. But what was that you said there about the CME charts there, old Rocky, old chum? Well, if we look here, of course they're delayed, you know, slightly. But if we look here at the difference between them, and just bear in mind how this all happened on the way up to where we are now and what targets we were looking at towards the top side. If we see here that the actual contangoed nature of these things, contango means trading at a higher price because it's future, it's as opposed to backwardation. Just undo that. The price action here on the CMEs, now we're used to there being a premium on them. That's come up here and it's actually sitting up really quite perky looking at 10,300. If we go down the time frames, we'll probably come across I was just thinking there that we maybe come across a gap. Maybe we have to look down at the 1 hour time frame just to see if there is one on here. Look at that, it got pretty darn close to being filled. Did it actually get filled? I mean, technically there is a few dollars there left unfilled, so I'll just stick a little ray in for now, since this is what we like to do on the channel. Just kind of denoting where this started at. If I just kind of try and line it up. Ding. Right, okay, that'll do. So we need to see the prices come down and touch that line again for it to be fully filled. Whatever. Yeah, what was I wanting to talk about here? Yeah, first off, there's a chance that you could see a gap here because of the way it's kind of moved beyond. But also this contango, right? It's $11,310 there, and the current spot prices are in around $11,080. That's moved the contango of this up from being around about $60 or so, what we spoke about yesterday and the day before, and the many days, and then run up towards that recent rise up in price, all the way up to what, $240 above the current prices or so, like just more or less, depend on let's call it 230, just if you want. And that's, hugely different, okay? So we were like 4 times further more moved away, depending on what way you look at it, obviously, of course, but 60 to 240 or so, whatever. The premium is there. So then that kind of opens up a different sort of scenario whereby the prices, if they were to move back up on spot to say around about 11,300, could actually see the prices over here at 11,700 fill in that gap towards the top side. Not quite so visible there in the charts. If I scroll over towards the left, go up to the 24-hour time frame so you can see it properly. Over to the left, where are we looking here? Well, actually, the gap would only be filled really at 11,700. So I'll put another ray in here just so we can see it. So this is the gap zone, right, that we have. This is from the 14th of August, I think, if I saw that right. Just looked really quick. 14th of August, 2019, if you want to go and check it out on your own charts. And as we scroll to the right, You know, actually, I was thinking the ads kind of get placed themselves on the channel, and that I could probably do this thing, and I could probably say, "Hey, have you got a cup of tea? We're just going to finish wrapping up the episode now, but with a quick word from our sponsors," and put an ad break in, you know, just manually do it, and then come back afterwards. So how about I do that for a laugh today? I'll obviously have to go back in. If you watch this video straight after it being published, it won't work. But yeah, so. We'll be back just after a word from our sponsors. By the way, remember, if they're asking you for your money, it's a scam. If it's someone like Vitalik Buterin, it's a scam. If they got Elon Musk up there talking about Bitcoin or something, it's a scam. Watch out for that, okay? If it's a real legit advert, let me know. And by the way, you can join the Discord and go over to the... Oh, I was trying to scroll right and I got to the point there. What need you? You can join the Discord and tell me what ads you were watching. Leave a link for them if you copy the link off the thingy. And then I'll watch the ads that you watch just so that you don't know, so you don't ever feel like you're alone when it comes to having to watch these ads and that. You don't know the pain I go through, Rocky. This ad is so terrible that I have to watch when it comes up. Well, okay, if you want to talk about that, you can tell me in the Discord for a laugh. But yeah, whatever. That's only just for funds and all the rest of it. I wouldn't ever encourage anybody to like actually, deliberately watch ads on my behalf. No way. Just you do what you do. Right. Yeah. So, and we're back after the ad break. Whatever. Yeah, so I almost forgot during the ad break, which for me lasted 1 second, what we're chatting about. Okay, yeah, here we are looking at this. If this wants to fill in this gap here that we're looking at between this sort of 11,695 up to 11,795, I think it is. Let's just call it 11,000. Well, let's just call it 11,700 to 11,800 for brevity. Gap on the CMEs, and we have a $250 differential in the prices. You could be looking at, say, the prices going up then as opposed to, say, 11,550 on the spot prices, and then this gap being filled and then things turn around from there. So just to revisit in with this again, this little notion that we had before, what that would look like at the time it was happening was that this, of course, is a failed Head and Shoulders, but it isn't a massive move off the top off of that anyway. I'll go to the 4 hours so we can look at that. This would be like looking like a failed Head and Shoulders pattern at the time. Things could look potentially quite bullish as well, but we could look here and we could maybe see a high coming in, and maybe we'd also notice a bit of divergence as well, some more of it, even though we've already got that at the minute, so it's not like we need this to happen if we were looking to be bearish about it or whatever. Then maybe we see the prices going back up to where we had our previous high at, maybe going and actually going up towards the top of that full measuring stick there, then turning around and then going down towards the downside. Okay, cool. So that'll do for that. And we can also then just move over to wrapping up the episode by talking about this thing that I've got, which is that there's now levels and perks. So you'll see a join button on there whenever I hit the turn on button. So I thought I'd film this. This is all new, brand new. And if you want to help support the channel, then you can. But I think what I'll do is I'll leave hitting the button here until the Tezos video or whatever, because that'll be the last one that I filmed today, and I can sort of do it at the end and say yeah, and then the buttons hit and all that sort of stuff and everything. And I don't know. Anyway, if you want to lend your support to the channel, now you can. And one of the things I wanted to say about this is it's totally amazing because it's normally only an option for channels that got over 30,000 subscribers. Clearly, YouTube, what I'm telling myself currently is, there's one of the two things. Clearly, I've misunderstood something, or clearly YouTube sees that we've got a real sort of special relationship here with the Rocky Outcrop community being just so darn legit, so too good, just too good to leave to get to the 30,000 subscriber level, and it's just going to stick in the join thing already for us. I think that's really sweet of YouTube to have acknowledged the bona fide special fantastic relationship that we have together, and the feedback loop that no paid, no fake subscribers ever, no pushing the channel or advertising it or whatever, nothing nothing that's like inorganic, just all pure organic stuff. Responding to comments, read the comments. YouTube maybe can tell these things. I don't know if it does, but if it had a certain metric along the lines of does this guy care about the channel, then I'd be hitting all of those things out the park, So I care about all he is, and maybe this is YouTube's way of saying cheers back the way. I don't know, right? And I'm not going to look into it because I'd rather stay believing that than anything else. Okay, so thanks for tuning in for today's Bitcoin video. I've been Rocky Outcrop, youtube.com/RockyOutcrop if you want to share it with your friends. I would really appreciate it if you hit that like button and that subscribe button. I hope you got some value from this today. Certainly, the FOMO coaster, what we want to do is talk about how it goes up all the time. If you're still watching now, then it's always, you know that after I say cheerio, there's always a bit of gold. So just remember, the trend is your friend, right, till the end of the trend. And what we're doing there is looking at how we could, first off, how we would know if things are dropping down the way, just as a healthy retracement is part of the trend friend thing, and then where we'd have to look beyond that to see if things are breaking down the way, So I think your three levels at the minute are going to have to come in at, say, 10,700 or so, 11,200 to 11,500 and 11,700. I think we could maybe see the prices moving up towards sort of 12.5. Cool. Catch you next time.